Hello, Cancer babes, Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to my channel, Tarot by the Intuitive Teacup. We're going to read your tarot cards here today. Please come into the readings with an open heart and an open mind, a desire to learn something or better yourself. If the messages that come through for you don't resonate, that's totally fine. Feel free to push them aside. You may want to revisit them at a later date as well, so keep that in mind. What else do I need to tell you? You are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is optional advice, guidance, and energy check-in. All that being said, let's set the intention to get you some helpful, insightful messages. I see this at the bottom of the deck. I wish it would come out. The Nine of Cups. Let's try and have some fun. Here we go. For Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. Here we go. All right. So money struggles do get better. I see that happening. That's the first message. We'll revisit that because I kind of like to start in the middle. That's kind of the center hub of all the action, if you will. So you have the Ace of Swords. So that's a positive new start in some capacity. Especially for me, it's like, in this spread, it kind of seems like relief mentally. If you've been stressed about things or overthinking or worrying, it could be the arrival of good news with the Sun card, the arrival of a positive message, something that makes you feel, pardon the cheesiness, but like warm and fuzzy. I could sort of see that. Some of you may be getting positive news from your children or positive news regarding your child. Others of you, it's just kind of like if you feel like you've been kind of in the shadows a little bit, if it's been kind of dark and grim, I do think there's the arrival of good news that pulls you out of maybe a little bit of depression or a little bit of anxiety. Obviously, that's something every human being deals with, but you need to sort of take into account what's your level of comfortability with that in terms of understanding that you're able to pull yourself out of it, because some people can't do that as easily. So I would advise you to speak to someone who excels in that field, in that profession. That being said, it does feel like there's a little bit of relief. Actually, I'll say a lot of bit of relief. I mean, the Nine of Cups is there. It's not quite here yet, but I feel like the energy is saying that there's the potential for, at minimum, kind of this bright, cheery energy, and the Sun is certainly an indication of that as well. And I more or less think that that's sort of what it's speaking about in terms of the Five of Cups. I always call this, half jokingly, my total eclipse of the heart, right? It's like, oh my gosh, the cups have spilled. We'll never get them back. Everything's over. Life is miserable. But we also have to remember that not everything is lost here, right? Only 3 of the 5 have spilled. So there's a bridge to get over, right? That rocky emotion, you could say, right? You have to get to the other side of it. You have to work through the negative emotions or the darkness, the hurt, the heartache, whatever it may be. But 2 cups remain. So it's like the universe is looking out for you. You haven't been abandoned by the universe, right? You haven't been rejected. It's not like your dreams are being diminished and you're not important. There's something very valuable to be gained from this experience. But I think with any 5, it is about change and chaos. And so with that, it's not necessarily that a solution is just handed to you, right? It doesn't necessarily fall on your lap. You are sort of having to roll up your sleeves and do the emotional work. And from that, opportunity comes. So I think that's important to remember. I don't know if that has to do with illness, if it has to do with a breakup, with something with your job that didn't work out. It could be many different things. I'm not necessarily predicting any of that because, I'm just giving you kind of random ideas of maybe what that could be. But I do think there's the arrival of good news. Some of you will definitely hear back from a Leo. I don't know if that's romantic or friendship-wise. There could be important news about pregnancy. It could be in your own life, but here's the thing. For a lot of you, I think it's news of pregnancy around you, especially with a sibling or a good friend. And with that, I'm going to caution you. Some of you, it may trigger your own sort of inner critic or inner frustration, your inner frustrated energy, possibly about your desire to have another child or to start a family, and maybe the timing just isn't right yet. Maybe you're still single, maybe you're with a person who doesn't want children. Whatever it is, it could be that the arrival of someone's really good news. It's not that you're being dismissive or rude or I don't think jealousy is an appropriate word, even though there may be a hint of that. It's not that you're spewing any negative energy towards this person. You're helping them, if anything, celebrate this good news. But it's almost like when you go home at the end of the day, you feel some type of way about your own path right now, your own journey. And it's just a simple matter of, again, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. I hate that expression. I'm sorry, but that it is called for here. And remembering that you have a lot of good things going for you too that maybe other people don't have. So it's not about competition. It's not about comparison. It's about sort of acceptance. And I'm going to say this too, Cancer. It's about faith that the universe is leading you to the right door or the right path, however you want to say it, that your dreams and wishes are going to come true, but it may not happen at the timeline that you're wanting. And I get it. It can be frustrating seeing other people around you succeed, but look at it this way. Be the cheerleader for those people in your life who are succeeding, because A, it's good karma, but also, you know, when you achieve something great in your own life, it doesn't feel awesome when the people around you kind of have this, what you may sense as jealousy or negativity or dismissiveness about your own kind of big important news, right? So there's kind of like this equilibrium, or this call to support your tribe, support your troops. And the thing is, Cancer, I think you usually do. But in Scorpio season, you know, love me my Scorpios. I don't have to tell you that. But there can be like a jealousy factor to Scorpio, or holding grudges or holding resentment. We have to remember Scorpio is fixed water. So the idea of it's still, it's not necessarily moving. If our quote unquote water, our emotions, what we're feeling on the inside, our internal energy is stuck and stagnant, and not only that, it's negative emotion, it's, you know, the jealousy, the rage, the tears, the whatever, we got to do something with that water, right? We have to like flush it out and get something new going, right? So with Scorpio energy, it can fester if we hold on to those negative things. And that's sort of why Scorpio has absolutely wonderful qualities, but a lower vibing Scorpio, or any sign being in that Scorpio energy, it can sink into that darker place of, you know, poor me, why is my life like this? Everybody else is succeeding. I want what they want. So I'm not going to linger on it too much, but I am going to remind you that you may have a day or days or weeks, right, where you're not always feeling your highest. So do your best to pull yourself out of it. And I will say, I think you have a Leo friend that's going to bring out the best in you. Maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a friend. I'll also say for those who have a strong connection with a parent or a child, depending on which you are, and you know, you're very likely both, right? Something about familial relationships, but I'm going to say for a lot of my Cancers out there, particularly spending time with your children, it's going to remind you of just how lovely and beautiful your life and your blessings, that your abundance is. For those who are don't have children, this may have to do with embracing your inner child, and maybe spending time with your own parents, you know, just putting it out there. All right. Moving on, let's see. I do kind of sense a romantic connection with a Leo coming in. It's possible that some of you are already with a Leo, and I in this deck anyway, I'm feeling like it's a good vibe there. They have the ability this month to help pull you out of your troubles or your worries, or it could go vice versa. You may have a Leo who's kind of, you know, especially because Leo squares the sign of Scorpio. So again, I mentioned that because we're in Scorpio season, at least when I'm recording this. Leo can have some kind of frustrated energy during that time, so it could be that you're kind of called upon to show up in as your best self and be the cheerleader and be sort of that person who ignites fun and passion and light back into a relationship. And maybe it's both guys, right? Maybe there is kind of this mutual thing in your partnership or with a friend where you're both kind of just driving the struggle bus for a few weeks, and it's like, you know what, let's meet up, let's make plans, let's stick to it, let's not do that thing where, you know, last minute we back out and send a text saying sorry, can't make it. Like, hold yourself accountable to seeking avenues of joy and go through with it even on the days where you don't feel like it, especially on the days where you don't feel like it, Cancer. That's important. That being said, Scorpio is a fellow water sign, so in theory, Scorpio season could be very good to my Cancers out there, right? It's not all bad stuff. I don't want you to take that message away. Okay, so some of you may be getting into a long-term relationship or something that is far more established and committed, but it may either require you to travel a greater distance to see this person, or if you're already in a relationship, you may be moving to a town, city, location, apartment, home that forces you to sort of sacrifice something in your personal life. And I'm not necessarily saying it's a make or break thing, but for some of you, you may have to relocate, in which case your job status may change. Maybe you're not leaving a job entirely. Maybe you're having to move to a different branch because it's closer to where your new neighborhood is. You understand what I mean? There is some sort of personal sacrifice in order to make a relationship work. Now, maybe it has nothing to do with physical distance. For some of you, it is sort of this caretaker mentality, this very Cancerian, nurturing, mothering energy, whether you're male, female, or whatever you identify with. And it very likely does have to do with a partner. So it's funny, the more I look at this, I'm almost thinking you may connect with a partner who isn't, it has nothing to do with you. They may be fighting their own personal battle. I'm hearing like slaying their own demons or dragons, metaphorically. And you may actually kind of have to step in and be that person, again, to carry the torch of like positivity and encouragement and sympathy and empathy. And, I love you. We're going to get through this. You may end up changing your schedule or your agenda to cater to them and their needs slightly, a little bit more. And I mean, those who know me as a tarot reader, I'm not going to encourage you to do that long term, but I think in any healthy relationship, yes, there is give and take of like, I'm going to take one for the team because right now it's my partner's time. Like they need some extra help. They need some assistance. They're having a rough go at it this month. So like, I'm going to be that person with the Superman cape and step in and help save the day. That being said, don't develop like rescuer syndrome, right? Where you're searching for people who are broken because it makes you feel more validated in a relationship. Also, you can't put limits and boundaries on other people's healing. So have realistic expectations that you may show up with, cook dinner for this person. You may, what do you call it? Roll out all the stops or whatever that expression is. You may do everything in your capacity possible to try and give this person a nice experience, a better day, whatever. And it may work, and that's great if it does, but it might not. So don't burden yourself with the responsibility of changing this person and their sort of emotions. The fact that you're there for them and showing up and just being a good listener, being a support system, that's enough. So be kind to yourself in terms of not looking at yourself as like superhero and I'm going to rescue you from your depression, because that's not your job, Cancer. And ultimately you would be... what is a good word? Denying the person the gift of developing that skill, honing that skill on their own, on this person's own, like kind of individual emotional journey. I hope that makes sense. That being said, I do think you come through as like a kick-ass partner, or even in friendship as like a kick-ass friend who's like, you know what? I'm going to make the extra trip to see you because I know you're having a tough time. That type of energy, you will be rewarded. That's good karma. But, with anything, equilibrium, I guess I would say don't do it for the purpose of keeping tabs, right? I think do it out of the goodness of your own heart, but also know your own limitations, respect your own health, respect your own body, your mental energy. But yeah, I do see you, quote unquote, coming to the rescue a little bit in the coming weeks. And the thing is, I think you like that. It's something you're naturally good at. You're excellent at caring and comforting people and nurturing them, and again, just being there as like an emotional support system. And so lean into it. If that's something that excites you and you're all about, I see that here. If some of you are cringing going, oh my God, that sounds awful, you probably have more Leo in your chart. I'm just kidding. Sorry guys. No, I'm just kidding. If that's something that makes you cringe, all right, then it kind of might be that understanding of, you know what, I'm going to do it this one time because, this person clearly needs me and, they're just not in a good place to do it themselves, so I'm going to jump in. But with that, especially with the Ace of Swords, there's going to be defined limitations and boundaries of how much I can do. So, take that into consideration. You do you, Cancer, but trust your gut instincts. I actually feel like there is, and I hate to put it in terms of like, keeping tabs or, getting back what you put in. But I do think in a more divinely guided way, with this kind of angel overlooking this, the universe is recognizing your ability to serve others. And so that will be rewarded to you, but you may not see it instantaneously. So again, I don't want to oversell that message, but it does set you up for good karma, ultimately, is what I'm trying to say here. There may be a Gemini who comes to visit you that is very troubled or acting unusual, acting a little bit bizarre. For some of you, you may have a parent, particularly a Gemini or Aquarius parent, who's acting a little bit unusual. You may be worried about their mental health, or or especially if it's a parent or a grandparent, just sort of like the aging mind. Their memory might not be as sharp. They may be acting a little bit out of sorts. I see that possibly causing some emotional reaction. Again, of this, I want to fix it, but I don't know how to help. Again, just being there, and I think having you as sort of like a safety net is, for some of you, the most you can do. Obviously, I don't do medical readings, like consult a doctor, do that part of it. I'm just here to say, again, you being there, it's more important than you even realize. Like, you are a huge asset to this person, to this family, to this team. So yeah, it's like just your presence alone is a gift to them. So, embrace that and focus on the good things rather than the negative. And I see you being maybe worried or troubled by someone that you're tremendously close to. And it's not necessarily that they're hurting you or doing you dirty. It's not that. It's like their own personal journey has led them kind of astray. And so you're kind of watching from a distance, even though you're with this person, kind of like, something is off here. Something is weird here. In fact, let's pull a card on that. I hate to get rid of your wish fulfillment at the bottom of the deck, but I do like that. What is the deal here? Yeah, there's a little bit of confusion. And again, for some of you, it's more old age. It's like your parents are at an age where there may be, I don't make predictions that are meant to be scary, but some of you already know, like there may be like kind of like maybe something with dementia or Alzheimer's. It could be something like that. Others of you, it's a friend who's coming to visit who probably doesn't live close to you. They're probably from out of town or a different state or across the country. And they just seem really confused about their path forward. Like something has come to a screeching halt, and wherever they thought they were going, there's been like a quick, like about face. There's been some sort of obstacle thrown in their path. Maybe they were laid off, like something like that, where they seem lost and confused. And there's something energetically healing about being around you. And I think even subconsciously, that's why they've come to see you, is because it's like they need a hit of that Cancerian energy that I'm just hearing there's no place like home. But so almost in the regard of this person views you as home. Even if you aren't family, there's something that's just like they can let their hair down and breathe. They know you're going to cook them a good meal or give them a warm bed or whatever. And I'm not saying they're displaced. I'm not saying they're homeless. For some of you may end up having to, have a friend move in for a few weeks as they find their footing. There is that kind of message, but you are deeply worried and deeply concerned about them. And so, yeah, this is a fabulous time to step up and be that person and show them generosity. And again, not keeping score. For some of you, it's almost like do unto others or treat them as you want to be treated, because there's been times where you were really struggling and it felt like somebody turned their back on you or somebody sort of metaphorically shut the door in your face. And I think you remember that, but you're choosing to operate at a higher level and be like, you know what, I'm going to be the person that I needed way back when, because I so see what this person is going through. Like I know what they're going through. So I'm going to be as helpful as I can. I'm going to be understanding. I'm going to listen to them. And more importantly, Cancer, it's not about solving their problems. I know I've said that a lot, but I really want to underscore that, because I see some of you as trying to be this Mr. and Mrs. Fix-It, and it's not about that. If you go about it with that approach, like, it's just going to be like this, 1, 2, dust my hands and we're good, and this person is back to health and they're all good now, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment if you view it through the lens of fixing them. It's not about that, right? You have your journey, they have theirs. You guys are a great support system for each other, but this person needs to figure it out for themselves, and they will. Doesn't mean you can't help, you can't offer suggestion, but I would be very, very careful of unsolicited advice, especially with a friend, because that could get you in trouble. In ways that you're obviously not intending, but there is kind of this, I don't go into this like, I'm so holy, I know better than you, I've walked your shoes, because you haven't. You're not this person. There may be information that you're not privy to that they haven't chosen to share with you. So comfort them. That's the best way to do it without giving them direction or guidance of you must do this, you have to do that. This may be a child moving back in with you as well, especially one who's maybe off living on their own in an apartment or in college or whatever. They may return home kind of with this defeatist, well, that didn't work out, and now they're having to like examine their life. All right, let's see. I think I gave you this message recently. In fact, I think it fell in the exact same position too, if I'm not mistaken. I see you being very protective of someone around you. For some of you, your friend may have just broken up with someone, and it's like they've been ignoring you for a bit, right? Because they're boy crazy or girl crazy, or they're in love with someone. Then they come back to you and like, they broke up with me, and they just want to fall into your arms and cry. And there's part of you that feels a little bit slighted, because it kind of felt like they chose, hose over bros, that kind of thing. Yeah, like they fell hard in love, and because of that, they didn't spend as much time caring for their friendships perhaps as they should have. That being said, they're still going to come to you for that support. And so it's up to you how you want to handle it. I think 99% of you are going to greet them with open arms and be like, it's cool. Like, I got you. We'll figure this out. Like, you're going to go into that mode of, the past is the past. Everybody makes mistakes. We're still friends. I think 99% of you are going to feel that way. And also, you're going to go into like guy or girl. I use this phrase kind of in quotes. You're going to go into like mama bear mode of like, don't you ever come near my friend again. Like, if their ex reaches out, it's like you're going to block them and this and that. Or again, careful with that. Careful with your words this month. I don't want you to get in trouble and then regret something you do or say because you're acting out of rage, but it's almost in like this very protective, like, I hope that makes sense. It's coming from a good place, but you're kind of losing a little bit of tact. So again, just warning you and cautioning you about that. There is a need to be very protective of your money and your energy this month. You may be feeling really overworked or run down. You could be getting a cold or a flu, right? Which, shit happens, right? That wouldn't be unheard of. But with that, there's all this energy being extended to those around you and taking care of your tribe, your clan, your posse, your besties. But are you taking time, again, setting healthy boundaries to take care of you and take care of like your own wellness and mental health? And I'm sort of getting this message of like skipping out on your medical routines or your daily health routines, your health commitments, promises you've made to yourself. So maybe that's taking a run every day or going for a jog or walking on the treadmill or working out or taking that medication, doing that treatment, that inhaler, whatever it is for you, Cancer. There is something that like, you're very much responsible for your own health, especially with Neptune doing its crazy stuff, right? Neptune in Pisces right now. So if you're an early degree sign of Cancer, which I am as well, Neptune is like wreaking havoc right now, right? And actually has been for a while. So with that, I think there's a lot of Cancers who are even more aware of their health routines. So don't slip up on that, right? You owe it to yourself to take good care of yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't take care of others if you're not starting from a good place yourself. So friendly reminder, take care of your own health, sleeping, diet, exercise, all those good things. Yeah, you get what you give, and you are giving a lot. So you may not see the return on this immediately, but you're setting yourself up for good karma. In the future, the connections that you've really cared for and tended to well, they're going to come back to you tenfold. And the universe recognizes that. This almost feels like a period where you are having to be somewhat selfless. And again, for most of you, you're doing so happily, but I see you being very generous. You may be giving to charities, you may be volunteering or doing volunteer work, giving your time, attention, energy, donations. You may be giving to a lot of causes and things of that sort. You're like a do-gooder in the coming weeks or months, Cancer. I see that. Last but not least, in terms of like love, romance, I don't know why I just got this. Sorry, this has nothing to do with love or romance. I see you spending a lot of money on gas, like to get to where you need to go. I don't know if it's multiple job interviews or you're meeting up with the same client who lives at a distance, but there may need to be some sort of discussion of like, hey, I can only do this a few more times, then you're going to have to start like comping me my gas or something of the sort. I see you spending a lot of money on travel, and it's not necessarily that you want to, but there's a... whatever the destination is, that is very alluring and exciting. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go. It seems like there's something very rewarding on the other side. But the means of transportation, it could be that your car isn't working, so you're having to like Uber everywhere, or I don't know, your car's in the shop, so you're having to do like a rental, but it's not fuel efficient, or whatever it is. There's like a lot of money going towards travel that the universe is like, we got to be more careful about that. Like, this is a lot of money we're putting out for something that maybe you're just not seeing it in return yet. Putting that out there. All right, last but not least, loving actually the Leo energy coming through. Let's see. I feel like there might be a Gemini or an Aquarius who's kind of interested in you, but a little bit indecisive. To be honest, Cancer, I'm almost getting the impression that they think you've moved on and that you're not interested. So you may not be aware of this, but you may kind of be giving like stone cold vibes. I'm not saying you need to immediately go text this person and give them clarification, right? You don't want to come off as crazy. But I sort of get the idea that the Gemini and Aquarius, or the air sign, we may as well throw Libra in there as well, right? They're kind of like, does Cancer even like me? Have they moved on? It could be someone you're friends with on social media, and they're kind of like, it's like they're checking out your page or whatever. They're like, are they dating someone? I can't quite tell. Like, there's kind of some confusion or indecision. It's possible that person may be fresh out of a breakup, or they too are kind of like keeping their options open, playing the field, that sort of thing. You yourself, Cancer, might be indecisive about another Cancer. Like, you like being with them, but you have trouble seeing a long-term future with them. So it could be someone that you're dating, but you're not sure they're like Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, or however you want to say it. And so with that, I don't see an immediate ending. I see you needing to like get more comfortable with the idea of what the future may look like with them. Honestly, I think you just need to get to know them more. And make a decision from there. I'm not saying yay or nay, because to me it's very unclear as well, but I don't see negative cards surrounding it. It's just more this like, I don't want to rush into any decision. I think the universe is saying, good, you got all the time in the world, like relax, enjoy this, have fun, the Sun card, right? I do feel like some of my Cancers are holding on to resentment from an ex who was juggling you and someone else. There is kind of a lot of energy that needs to be released internally, in terms of, again, like jealousy or resentment is a good word, holding a grudge. Those negative Scorpio traits we talked about, I do see it rearing its ugly head here just a little bit, because someone wasn't being faithful, or someone kept you as plan B, or you were someone's option. And it's kind of convoluted, because as much as you resent them, part of you still kind of wants them back. Oh, Cancer. What am I going to tell you? What is the best advice for them there? So I don't know. The fact that it's coming up in this message, I'm part of me is like, are they reaching out? Like, what is the deal? Actually, what is the deal with the energy that kept them kind of confused? Or I think I just saw the Three of Cups. Let's see. Oh gosh, for some of you, it's like they invited you to the wedding, even though you're the ex. That's complicated. What is that, like my best friend's wedding? That's exactly what it reminds me of. It's like Julia Roberts gets invited to her best friend's wedding, but she has like a giant crush on him, right? You guys know my metaphor there, right? For some of you, they were engaged, or they were planning to be married. For some of them, they are married, and I don't know if they were flirting with you before they knew it was going to be official, but the thing is, they kind of knew. It's not like they were going to break up with this person for you. I think they liked the attention. They liked that you thought that they were cute. They enjoyed flirting, but Page of Cups, to me, it was like immature behavior. And ultimately, it's like, whatever you think you're getting in this beautiful cup of romance, like, it's just a fish. Like, it's a fish. And I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm just saying I don't think this offer is as good as you had hoped it to be, or hoped for it to be. I think you can do much better. So in terms of what's coming in for Cancer, yeah, I just don't think they were honest and clear. And I think emotionally they were probably confused. And, as Cancers tend to attract people who are like, the bird that has the broken wing. It's like they wanted to be nursed back to health and they flew off and abandoned you. There is a theme of that in your reading, of feelings kind of taken for granted sometimes. So, you have to learn from that and understand, how are you going to operate differently? Is there going to be more of a boundary in terms of how much of yourself you give to people, friends, family, lovers, all included, right? Or is this kind of like, I give without the desire to receive, and like, I'm good with it, but I'm not going to partake with that energy with that person anymore. I think that's more of a healthy approach in terms of like, not holding the grudge or the resentment, just being like, oh, okay, I see what I am to you now. I'm going to move on. And it doesn't have to be this negative, angry, snarling type of energy. What else is coming into Cancer? Some of you, there's going to be news of pregnancy, whether or not you're in a committed relationship or not. So if you're not looking to get pregnant, just putting that out there, you may want to, take precautions. So yeah, I feel like you're on the fence about a Cancer, or a fellow Cancer. A fellow Cancer is on the fence about you. There's also something possibly with an Aries coming through. I feel like an Aries is keeping you warm or keeping you in their corner, or vice versa. There hasn't totally been a decision made to move forward, but this seems like maybe you met on a dating app and there's some mild like conversations or flirting, but no one is making the first move to be like, let's set a date, let's meet up. Ooh, because I don't know why, but I don't love the 10 of Swords there. I heard ego death. So I don't know. I don't know if possibly someone is viewed as too cocky or too sure of themselves or whatever. Someone here also may be going through a lot of pain, a recent breakup, feeling like they got their heart broken, and so they just might not be ready to open themselves up to you, Cancer. Or vice versa. It could be that you're on dating apps trying to connect, but you're still kind of in a place where you're not really ready for that relationship, even though, on the days that you get bored, you're kind of like, maybe I'll just go online. Maybe I'll just talk with someone and see what happens. Focus on your healing first so that you're putting yourself in like an optimal position to meet someone who matches your vibe, who matches your energy. Because if you're going out in the world ready to date like this, you're going to connect people who are in a similar position, right? You're going to connect with people who are like, I'm ready to date. I'm going to love bomb you. I love you so much. And then you're never going to hear from me again, right? You don't want that. So anyway. All right, Cancer, I'm going to leave you with that. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and also thank you so much for the viewership. Cancers by far are my highest viewer, and I just want to say how much I appreciate you all from the bottom of my heart. I'm a small little channel competing with all the readers on YouTube, or not competing, but trying to get views, and I appreciate that my Cancers show up for me. So, sending you love. Thanks, Cancer. I'll see you soon for more tarot. Bye.